Hold on to your hats, because what just detonated in that courtroom today is the kind of family drama that shatters legacies, snaps bloodlines, and leaves emotional wreckage for life. Silence fell, cameras whirred, hearts raced, and then Riley Burruss rose, trembling, battered, but finally unflinching, dropping a bomb nobody saw coming. "I know the truth now, and I'm done pretending," she declared. That one line landed harder than any gavel. Moments later, a so-called DNA report surfaced that didn't tiptoe around secrets. It obliterated an entire family tree. For years, Riley was told a certain man was her father. For years, her existence was built on tales spun by her mother, her grandmother, and everyone she trusted blindly. But according to jaw-dropping court filings, that story was pure fiction. The DNA didn't murmur, it roared a single shocking name, Coleman Domingo. Gasps echoed, cameras froze, and Riley's universe imploded in real time. This wasn't about chromosomes. It was about stolen identity, buried truth, and a daughter realizing her mother apparently picked silence over honesty. And then came the twist no one saw coming. Riley allegedly slapped a lawsuit against her own mother, Kandi Burruss. Not just for lies, but for emotional torment, for control, for constructing a life on lies while the real story stayed buried. What makes this messier? Sources spill that Mama Joyce didn't side with Kandi. She backed Riley and Coleman Domingo. He didn't object. Now Kandi is boxed in. The internet is ablaze. And one burning question won't quit. Was the truth hidden to protect fame, or was a daughter sacrificed for legacy? This isn't mere gossip. This is family tragedy in real time, and we're just getting started. Buckle up, because what went down in that courtroom today wasn't just another celebrity headline. It was the slow, savage unraveling of a family that once seemed untouchable. The air felt thick, like everyone anticipated disaster but dared not exhale first. Riley Burruss sat silently, fists clenched, eyes fixed straight ahead. No makeup to mask fatigue, no smile for the cameras, just a young woman who looked like she'd already emptied her tears before stepping inside. Across the room, Kandi Burruss appeared calm, composed, the kind of surface control honed after years in the spotlight. But if you watched closely, really closely, you could spot it. Jaw locked too tight, fingers tapping just a shade too fast. This wasn't confidence. This was sheer pressure. When the alleged DNA report came up, the courtroom shifted. Everyone leaned in. Pens froze mid-scribble. Even cameras seemed to pause, like they felt the weight of what was about to drop. For years, Riley Burruss lived with a single truth. Or at least what she was told. One name, one story. One explanation repeated so often it became gospel. According to sources, that story didn't just come from her mother. It came from her grandmother, from whispered family conversations, from moments when questions were shut down before fully forming. And then, quietly, everything flipped. A DNA test allegedly done in private. Allegedly confirmed legally, no dramatic reveal, no press conference, just a document rewriting an entire life. Coleman Domingo. That name didn't stroll in. It crashed like a dropped plate in stunned silence. A sharp, undeniable sound no one could ignore. Riley didn't scream. She didn't fall apart. She just shut her eyes. And that might have been the cruelest hit. According to court filings, this wasn't just about who her biological father was. It was about lost time, years she could never reclaim, a version of herself that might have existed if the truth had come sooner. Sources claim Riley believed the truth was hidden not once, not accidentally, but deliberately, over and over. Chances to be honest were ignored. Moments when the blow could have been softened were skipped. And with each passing year, the lie allegedly became harder to undo. When Riley finally spoke, her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. She claimed her life had been scripted by everyone else, decisions made without her consent, her identity molded to fit a story instead of reality. That's when the lawsuit hit the spotlight. Not symbolic, not a threat, an actual legal filing against her own mother, Kandi Burruss. The allegations were heavy: emotional trauma, manipulation, intentional deceit, a claim that the truth wasn't hidden to protect a child, but to protect a carefully crafted narrative. And then came the twist nobody saw coming. Mama Joyce. For years, she's been legendary for loyalty, protective to the point of confrontation. But insiders say the room tensed again. Because this question didn't just accuse, it exposed. Some murmured the answer lay in timing, careers, public image, the fear of headlines hurting more than reputations. Others argued it was protection, not manipulation, that silence felt safer than chaos. But the issue is simple. Safety for whom? According to court sources, Riley's legal team insisted that every year the truth stayed hidden, the damage deepened. Childhood innocence doesn't cancel adult consequences. Realizing your identity was shaped by omission can feel like stepping on quicksand in your own life. Then came the emotional pivot. Riley allegedly spoke again, not directly at the court, but into the space between everyone watching. She said she didn't feel robbed of a name. She felt robbed of choice, the right to know herself, the chance to ask questions without being steered toward answers. That's when Mima Joyce's presence became undeniable. She hadn't spoken. She didn't need to. Her body language said it all. According to those watching closely, she never once glanced at Kandi during that stretch of testimony. Her focus stayed glued to Riley Burruss. That detail didn't escape notice because family loyalty, when ripped open publicly, carries a weight no lawyer can soften. Outside the courtroom, speculation exploded. Clips went viral. Commentators argued whether this was an inevitable reckoning or a private matter dragged way too far into public view. Inside, the emotional tension kept climbing. Then Coleman Domingo's name resurfaced, not as a headline, but as a real, looming presence. Sources claim his legal team was prepared, careful, quiet, not defensive, but calculated. No outrage. No dismissal of the claim as absurd. Just acknowledgement that the situation demanded seriousness. And that alone shifted the room. Because when someone doesn't instantly reject an allegation this big, people start drawing conclusions, fair or not. The court said more verification was needed, that nothing would be finalized without proper procedure. But the perception damage was already done. Riley's supporters say this is about accountability, confronting a truth allowed to fester in silence. Critics claim the spotlight only magnifies the pain, that some wounds don't heal under public scrutiny. But Riley didn't pick the spotlight. It found her the moment the truth hit. During a brief court recess, emotions broke. Witnesses say Riley crumbled away from the cameras. Not loudly, not theatrically, just quietly, the way someone finally lets go after holding it together too long. No scripted lines, no calculated expressions, just mourning for lost years and the family she thought she knew. Kandi stayed composed during the break, speaking only to her lawyers. But those close enough noticed something shift. The confidence she had carried into that room seemed muted, replaced by the stark realization that no legal tactic could erase what had already come to light. Because even if the lawsuit were tossed tomorrow, the question would still linger. Why wasn't she told? That question echoed in every corner as proceedings resumed. Legal jargon flew, arguments over jurisdiction, relevance, emotional damages. But beneath it all, the conflict remained painfully human. A daughter hunting for truth. A mother defending her choices. A family ripped apart by what should never have been hidden. As the session closed, no verdict landed, no resolution given, just a roadmap of next steps and a future dripping with uncertainty. Riley Burruss left without comment again. This time, her expression wasn't simply sad, it was resolved. Whatever came next, she wasn't backing down. Kandi followed shortly after, cloaked in silence, her face neutral, but her circumstances spoke volumes. And as the courthouse emptied, one thing became crystal clear. This case is no longer about a single revelation. It's about what happens when truth arrives too late, when silence outlasts protection, and when the people meant to guide you end up writing a version of your life you never signed for. There's more coming. More details, more heartbreak. And as this saga unfolds, the line between family and fallout grows thinner every day. With tension still thick in the air, the story refuses to slow. In the following days, silence screamed louder than any statement. No polished posts, no smiling photos, just absence. And in celebrity culture, absence is never empty, it's loaded with speculation. According to insiders, Riley Burruss vanished from the public eye, not to hide, but to finally breathe. To process the harsh reality that every private memory she once trusted was now under scrutiny. Friends allegedly described her as calm but distant, like someone who had crossed a line she could never return from. Kandi, meanwhile, stayed under the microscope. Every step dissected, every old interview replayed, clips resurfacing where she spoke of motherhood, honesty, sacrifice. Words that once inspired now dripped with unintended irony. Commentators didn't wait for facts, they rarely do. Some painted Kandi as a mother making impossible choices in a world that punishes women for every slip. Others portrayed her as someone who valued control over clarity. The internet, predictably, split. But no one could ignore the central agony, Riley's pain. Sources say more details quietly circulated, alleged timelines, whispered conversations, moments when the truth almost peeked out but didn't. Each rumor hit like another crack in a foundation barely holding together. Then came the testimony that changed everything. Riley allegedly shared in a closed session, per court insiders, that the hardest part wasn't discovering who her father might be. It was realizing how many people knew and deliberately stayed silent. That, she said, made her feel smaller than the lie itself. Because when silence is shared, it stops being accidental. Mima Joyce's role became even murkier as whispers intensified. Some claimed she pushed for truth earlier. Others argued she helped maintain the story for years. Like most family drama, the reality was messy, loud, far from the neat version people wanted. What stood out? She never withdrew her support from Riley. That choice alone reshaped how people saw the whole situation, because support crossing generational lines almost always carries a price. And that price was becoming clear. As for Coleman Domingo, the tension ramped up without a single word leaving his lips. His quiet stance, once hailed as respectful, now sparked endless speculation. Was restraint care or caution? Silence protective or strategic? No one knew. And in that hush, the story grew louder. Legal analysts noted cases like this rarely end neatly. Even if the court ruled decisively, emotions don't follow legal logic. Families don't reboot because a piece of paper says so. Riley Burruss seemed to get that. According to observers during later proceedings, her demeanor shifted. Less shock, more determination. She wasn't seeking spectacle. She wasn't hunting revenge. She wanted acknowledgement for harm, for truth delayed, for a life shaped without her consent. That nuance mattered. It reframed the lawsuit from vengeance to reckoning. Kandi's defense leaned heavily on intent, love, protection, and the idea that choices were made in messy circumstances with no perfect outcomes. Many parents might understand, but understanding doesn't always heal. The courtroom mood mirrored that divide: empathy on one side, accountability on the other, and no room for denial. Outside, the saga ruled social feeds. Riley's supporters shared their own stories of discovering family secrets too late. Others cautioned against judging a mother without the full picture. The debate went beyond celebrity gossip. It became deeply relatable. Because at its core, this wasn't about fame. It was about identity. Who you are when the stories you grew up believing crumble. Who you trust when the people meant to protect you turn out to be the ones who buried the truth. Who you become after that blow. As the proceedings dragged on, one thing became crystal clear to everyone watching closely: there would be no tidy ending here. No apology could recover lost years. No verdict could erase the life shaped by silence. No explanation could undo the sting of betrayal. And maybe that's what made this so chilling. This wasn't a scandal you could scroll past and forget. It was a slow, gut-wrenching unraveling that shoved uncomfortable questions into the spotlight. Family control, the cost of secrets. When Riley Burruss finally spoke indirectly through insiders, the message was simple. She wasn't asking to be believed blindly. She wanted to be heard honestly. That distinction hit hard. Being heard doesn't demand agreement. It demands recognition. As this chapter closed, the future stayed murky. Mediation was floated. Further filings were expected. Private conversations hinted at, never confirmed. The story, far from ending, seemed to be evolving. Not louder, but deeper. And in that depth sat truths many were only starting to face. Sometimes the cruelest secrets aren't the ones revealed, they're the ones hidden too long. This wasn't about tearing anyone down. It was about standing up after being kept in the dark. It was about a daughter choosing clarity over comfort. And no matter how the legal saga plays out, one fact is irreversible: the truth is out. And once it's out, it changes everything. And now, it's in your hands. Because stories like this don't vanish when the cameras shut off or courtroom doors click closed. They live in the hushed conversations people avoid, in the silences families cling to, in truths that only emerge when someone dares to risk it all. This isn't just one lawsuit or a single DNA report. It's what happens when a child grows up believing a story that was never truly hers. It's the emotional toll of secrets kept under the guise of protection. And it's how fame can twist honesty into something scarier than lies. Right now, opinions are exploding. Some say this should have stayed private. Others argue that privacy is precisely why the truth stayed buried for so long. And that clash is what makes this moment impossible to ignore. If you think Riley Burruss deserves to know her real story, this matters. If you think no one's identity should be molded by silence, this matters. If you think family loyalty should never trump truth, this matters. Because what's playing out here isn't neat. It's messy. It's painful. And it's raw in a way headlines can't capture. The next court date is looming. More details will surface. More private choices may be dragged into the spotlight. And when that happens, there will be no rewind button. So don't just scroll past. Talk, question, share. Because the only thing stronger than silence is exposure. And once the world is watching, the truth has nowhere left to hide. This isn't the end. This is the moment everything finally catches up.